Are we human or are we dancers? We've got to fulfill the book. Hey, what's up, Rezbt-S podcast? This is a Base Tagalog show, the number one official Base Tagalog show in the universe. You're listening to the voice of such as myself. My name is Rez Toledo. I hail from the capital city of Metro Manila, the only real capital city, unfortunately, in the Philippines. Ang taong tinatawag na Pilipino ay nakatira sa Pilipinas. And although this is not a nationalistic show, um, I talked mostly to Filipinos, sadly, which are called now Filipinx. Filipino, wala na yung O, ginawa ng X. So some of them are called Filipinx. And that's quite annoying, but it's quite true. Tapos meron yung isa pang version nun sa Tagalog, meron pang tinatawag ng mga Tagalog, yung mga Pipino lang. Yung mga Pipino, yun yung mga pipe na Pipin, no? And although that sounds kind of Korean, it's really a real deal in the way that us Tagalogs talk about this. Na at least meron tayong presidente na mamamatay tao, which is true also. But pero sa totoo rin, meron din mga Pipino, yung mga wala nang parang kunwari lang silang nagsasalita, pero yung salita nila is tawag doon yung Pipino. Tapos china-chop-chop nilalagay sa mata.
Rezbt-S
Podcast.
Tito Rez, matulog ka na later kasi baka manghina na naman yung tuhod mo.
Tulog ka na. Tulog ka na. Lang kwenta ka eh. This podcast is all about speaking the based form of the Tagalog language. And I've been running it for a while. This is a no-holds-barred, walang paligoy-ligoy na I say kind of what I want to say kind of podcast because I think everyone needs a dose of not naman a truth preaching, but like a version of truth that comes from something that is well connected, something that can express concepts, something that can very scare the hell out of yung mga daga sa buhay mo, diba? Dinadaga ka na, share mo lang to. Kunyari may dinadaga ka na, parang marami nang nagkiklik sa'yo na ayaw mo naman kaklik, diba? Share mo lang yung podcast natin or the audio or let them hear some of the voice of reason of free thinkers and the voice of reason of people who really think for a living because, it may seem like napakarami ng taong nag-iisip pero sa totoo lang, nag-iisip sila para sa bukas lang. Hanggang bukas lang yung inisip nila. As in yung tomorrow. At nangyayari yun sa kanila kasi nga kailangan galingan nila sa work eh. Kailangan galingan mo sa trabaho mo bukas kasi pag di mo ginalingan yung puro crush mo na lang yung iniisip mo bukas, di ang yumayaman lang yung mga crush mo, diba? Naisip mo na ba yan? Parang ganun kasi yun na parang dahil yung kultura ng mga Pipino at ng mga Pipinex ay very pogi-centric kasi pinagmamask nila yung parang hindi ako ganito alam mo yun, parang ako pro pangit ako, pro I'm not pro BS. I would say I'm not pro BS, pero pro pangit ako because I'm an abstract artist by not profession, by hobby also. I love abstract art. And I do sometimes, scare kind of the fake artists around because I'm at the point of my life where I can say that, and I'm glad that I can say that. And alam mo yun, parang ikaw kung bata ka pa, parang isipin mo may mga taong ganun. Maniwala ka sa may mga taong ganun na kaya pa rin magsabi ng kahit ano on public internet. And also get the repercussion for it. And my repercussion for it is a lifetime's worth of endorsing uh, my status in life. Yes. And if you could resonate with that kind of thing, I do want you to click on this stuff. I do want you to click on other people's stuff. Na parang, kunwari, oh shit, did you know that I know someone that knows something that ganyan? Parang give you that kind of feeling, not just the physical torture of having to say that you understand what you see, right? But just para at least mapasa mo rin din sa iba because I was talking about pinag-usapan ko dito yung hindi lang naman yung pagbibigay nung sa akin lang. Because although I am I could be very nihilistic, I could be very narcissistic, yung mga these tick-tick advertising, very well advertised philosophies. I'm more into the philosophy of, not even the philosophy, the agenda of linguistic reform. Na yun nga, nakikita niyo naman na yung mga memes na sasabi na hindi porket Englishero, walang paki sa bayan, hindi porket Englishero ay babading-bading, hindi porket Englishero ay mayaman. If you are actually familiar with where of Metro Manila, one of the greatest cities here is called Marikina City, and the Marikina City is almost, I think, at 80% English-speaking household, if I'm not mistaken. A whole chunk of Mariquineras is an English-speaking household, I believe, especially right now. Because when I came here as a teenager, hindi pa naman ako English speaking nung mga 18, 19 pa lang. Utal-utal pa rin lang din ako nung 18, tapos 17, 18, pinagtatawanan ako ng mga classmates ko kasi nagpapagalingan kami sa grammar. And then nung mga nakamove na ako sa Marikina, it helped a lot. It helped a lot in my understanding of how the English tone, or what I would say now na base Tagalog, was used in the household. Kasi nga yung base Tagalog is a form of Tagalog that incorporates a lot of English words. Kaya tunog English malamang, diba? Pero mapapansin mo kung i-breakdown mo yung grammar or yung litid ng base Tagalog na although it does use a lot of English words, the tropes have always been Tagalog. The tropes have always been from personal leadership kind of form. Whereas to differentiate and to sort of really establish this on Black Mirror, so to speak, to sort of establish base Tagalog on Black Mirror is may kaibang the other approach would be now called the Filipinx, gender neutral form of old language na rin na Filipinx na atin tinatawag na kasi nga daw lalo na in other cultures that have been affected by Me Tooism and cancel culture, they are really sort of in a way making things sound politically correct. And this adjustment na nangyari apparently sa English dictionary, which I respect very much. And pag nakita ko as a visualist, if I see something it makes sense, then that is it. Because, to see is to believe, really, literally, to see is to believe. And if you see something that makes sense, and as a visualist, it makes sense, it is actually a very much gender neutral language. Whereas base Tagalog is patriarchal. Never nawala yun, never dineny yun. Ang Tagalog is patriarchal. Kaya nga sa ibang household, makikita mo sa ibang household, at maraming household, if you speak to your tatty on in English tropes, diba? He wouldn't appreciate that, especially if the tatay is Tagalog. Because the tatay will reply in Tagalog. Ang pinaka-secret kasi sa learning ng ganitong lengguwahe is if you talk in an English trope, it's my responsibility now to speak on a base Tagalog trope. And since high school pa lang, ginagawa na namin to kasi mga kupal yung mga high school kong kaklase. Pag gina-attempt kong mag-aral ng English sa harap nila, tatagalogin nila ako. Tapos ito namang pag mag-Tagalog na ako sa kanila, i-Englishin naman nila ako. So, doon na actually yung parang create, what do you call this? That might be the tawag sa ganun the birthing of base Tagalog, no, if that happened around in your vicinity. Pero I mean, not to be discriminative, pero kung Bisaya ka lang, I mean, meaning Bisaya ka lang naman na alam mo yun, masa ka lang naman kasi coming from our perspective, konti na lang yung Tagalog konting-konti na lang talaga yung nagtatagalog and marunong magtagalog. So kung Bisaya ka lang, marami na kayo Marami na yung with all due respect, napakarami na ng mga Bisaya and identify as being Bisaya. So okay na yun, 'di ba? Okay na yun. Ang problema kasi sa amin sa mga Tagalog, ang problema sa amin bukod sa konti na lang yung nagsasalita ng is nire-recognize na nga na ay parang tapos na yung tropes ng Filipino. Aaralin na lang natin din yung Filipino on a subject level. But now, ang gumagana lang na tuhod yung Tagalog. Yung Filipino kasi na tuhod, medyo bumukan napilay na dun if you get my drift. And I was up at night last night thinking medyo totoo nga yung sinasabi ko ata sa I mean just patting myself on the back kind of thing. Medyo parang totoo nga yung nangyayari ever since we launched the base Tagalog tropes and we started talking about it na saan ba base talaga yan. Kasi pag inaral mo yung Filipino subject, Filipino language, parang totoo nga na marketing nga talaga siya ng mga tuta. Kasi mismong yung mga Tagalog naman yung nagtuturo ng Filipino Parang wag na tayo maglokohan, 'di ba? Kung Tagalog ka, malamang nagtuturo ka rin ng Filipino, 'di ba? Ang unang tinuturo diyan yung pangalan, pandiwa, pang kung ano-ano. But like I'm not gonna wring my neck on that idea because I'm not the expert in Filipino, but I am gonna argue that the experts in Filipino are hella Tagalog. And now they're speaking base Tagalog. Yun yung pinaka sinasabi ng show na to. At masaya to. Masaya to pero hindi to happy. Gets mo? Masaya lang to kasi ito lang yung masaya. Parang ganun. Pero hindi mismong ako masaya. Never, minsan lang ako sumasaya Alam mo yun. Kasi kung lagi kang masaya, tawag dun, parang baka matawag kang inosente, yung lagi kang masaya. Parang, di ba pag nakakita ka ng inosente, ang sarap sampalin, parang, ba't ka masaya? Alam mo yun? Bakit? Pumera ka na ba today? Kumita ka na ba today? Nabayaran na ba natin yung bills natin for today? Diba? Yan, kitang-kita mo yung tatay mo, tuloy-tuloy pa rin, tapos ikaw, wala kang, alam mo yun, wala kang kamuwang-muwang. Yun ang masaya, diba? Yun ang masaya sa'yo. And dapat sa totoo lang, yung mga ganun sa buhay nyo, yun yung pinapakinig nyo sa mga podcast. Hindi nyo sila masyadong ine-expose sa mga Korean. Just speaking, I'm not into, I'm trying to, I'm trying to converse with an audience, right? Dapat yung mga ganun, hindi yan tinotolerate. Sana, diba? Hindi naman sa dapat, pero sana hindi yan tinotolerate kasi ang nangyayari dyan, pag tumanda yung mga yan, nagiging anti-government yan. Nagiging anti-government yung ugali, hindi yung agenda. Yung agenda, okay lang, depende. Diba? Papalit-palit tayo ng, papalit-palit tayo ng trip sa, when it comes to publishing ng gobyerno. Kasi syempre, ano lang naman yan may ginagaya rin yan ng mga patterns. Unless magkamatayan, diba? Pag namatay na si ganito, wala tayong magagawa. Di doon tatakbo yung istorya, diba? The dialectic. But But in general, when talking about audiences, when you feel people are like always into Korean stuff, always into American stuff, always into Japanese stuff. And I'm also like that. I grew up in the internet, but what I'm trying to say is there's a tendency, I think, for them to become linguistically attuned to the ease of being and sounding anti-government, just because all they grew up with is Me Tooism, and cancel culture. Although, I am actually sort of for that ako, because I couldn't imagine, having a million followers, so to speak, and having no power to cancel their thoughts out. So parang nangyayari, nagiging hindi, alipin ka na nga sa sweldo, alipin ka na nga sa lapi, so to speak. Tapos naging alipin ka pa dun sa comment section na parang kunwari, and then I'll be frank about it. That's how we create our literary monsters. What I mean by literary monsters is people, things, entities that are monsters na when it comes to the literary sense. Na kahit anong gawin mo, lit na yung ginagawa nila. Kahit kumanta lang yan sa banyo, kahit magkaboses lang yan, ma-develop niya yung parang, niya, yung dito niya, diba? Ma-develop niya yung dito niya. What do you call this? Magkaka-viewership yan, magkaka-lit yan, magkaka-bureaucracy yan sa sarili niya, diba? There's nothing totally wrong with that, but in a sense, if that doesn't stop in like 2 or 3 years, then 4 million of you would have already been poisoned by that kind of monsters tolerance for that level of intelligence. And to be able to translate that, I think kailangan mo lang naman talagang makakilala. Makakilala nung tatabihan ka, explain sa'yo na kunyari, ikaw, nene, itong tao na to, this person is, I wouldn't say confused, this person is following ideologies from the 80s, or getting into ideologies from the 90s, for example, neo-Marxism. Neo-semanticism. Mga ganyan yung mga anti-ganito, anti-ganyan. 90s pa yan, bro. The 2000s was more of like the digital age sort of movement, diba? And then now 2020, it's really what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at is it's really a lot of linguistic reform, threading and like parang keeping things at a steady pace, relevant in terms of being grounded. What is the new ground? What is the new sort of where do we walk? How do we walk on the new digital space? Parang lakad lang, so to speak. And who do we walk with? Because every once in a while you tag yourself up on some random space in Facebook on the internet. May sasagot sa'yo na from another part of the world. You're supposed to be solid with them. You're supposed to understand where they're coming from, because suddenly you find yourself chatting up a 40-year-old from abroad with 2 kids and a house, and you're just in the Dota mode, and then you're like, alam mo yun, parang hindi ganon. Kasi once you encounter these people on the internet, there's some sort of call or an expectation to understand that you are being sucked into the digital world. For example, if you keep your digital world all about weak, weak culture, all about weakness and toxicity and non-fruish things that don't bear fruit, 'di ba? Parang bukas yun pa rin yung kakainin mo kasi sanay ka na dun eh. 'Di ba? Napakadali lang naman malaman nun sa Tagalog. Sa Tagalog, parang kung gusto mo kumain ng maganda, maghanap ka ng maganda, palibutan mo yung sarili mo ng maganda para yung mga options mo puro magaganda. I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about content. I'm talking about that because I remember a couple of years back when I was still leading in the artist sort of industry, the music sort of thing. I was with my friends in the collective, and then which is wala na ako doon ngayon. And parang in-explain sa akin kasi nga medyo aloof ako na tao. Parang in-explain sa akin, you know why there's a lot of you know how we know that this is good music that we're making? It's because napapalibutan tayo ng magagandang babae. Parang nagiging cover na yung mga babae. Puro babae yung nagtatakip dun sa ginagawa namin. So mapapansin mo kung tunay ka na gumagawa, mismong mga babae na yung nagtatakip sa'yo, pinagtatakpan ka nila, diba? Kasi ganun yung favorite ng mga babae. Wala naman tayo magagawa dun kung talagang nakakasama ka dun sa budding nila, so to speak, diba? Sabihin, you are so sweet. You are so sweet as a man. The words that you speak, the words that you, pero kung puro type ka lang, sorry to cut myself off right there again. Kung puro ganun ka lang, how do you even express that into like, paano mo i-express sa ganun, diba? And then paano mo ipapagets naman kung babae ka naman? Kung paano naman ipapagets na, uy, Chong, may mga ganitong tipong lalaki ito yung pinagagagawa nila. Ikaw, ang ginagawa mo? Ano yung old meme? Ano naman ginagawa mo? Diba? No ginagawa mo? It doesn't mean that like meme words like this, right? Let's talk about language. Meme words like this, no ginagawa mo? Hindi naman pang yun eh. Hindi naman pang jeje yun eh. Ginagamit din ng mga matatalino yun. Malamang nga mga matatalino nag-invento nun eh. Ginawa lang nilang nakakatawa, diba? Para mas maka-infect ng mas maraming tao. But when you look at those, it kind of really speaks of culture. In a sense na pag nagpa-pop out, bumabalik yung mga ganyang terms. Kasi minsan matagal na yan eh. Tapos ngayon lang na re-energize ng mga chikitings. Nangyayari talaga is it speaks about where you're at as a culture and what the most recent meme word kataga, base Tagalog kataga. Let's call it base Tagalog because it's fairly recent. The most recent one is actually sana all. Sana oil na naging sana oil, diba? If you can relate with this, then bata ka pa rin. Diba sabi kasi nila sana all, diba? Parang lahat na lang sana all. Kunyari, natawa lang yung classmate mo, sana all. O kaya, nag-share lang siya ng may jowa, sana all, diba? Tapos nangyari, yung mga tao, this was pre-COVID, this is a pre-COVID term. Diba? Sana all, kakasana all. Nangyari nga yung sana all. Na sana all lockdown tayo. Yun ba yung ginusto mo? Diba? So, kung yun yung ginusto mo, parang congratulations. But like, what I'm trying to say is we should be really careful of what we wish for because yung kaka-wish mo ng sana, yung wish sana, diba? Yung all dumating. Yung all, nagparamdam lang. Umalis na din agad. Tapos na eh. So nung naramdaman mo yung all, ay natutunan ka ba nung naramdaman mo yung all? Ano nangyari sa'yo? Kasi yung all, nagpaparamdam sa maraming tao yan. Para yung mist. Diba? Para yung mist dadaan yun. So may mga mamamatay. Oh no. So yung all, nandyan na, diba? Dumating na, tapos umalis na. O anong nangyari sa'yo? Ano nangyari dun sa mga kapatid mo, sa mga mahal mo sa buhay? Nung naramdaman ba nila yung sinabi mong sana all? Ganun yun, diba? Ganun yung parang invoking of yung sinasabi natin na mga buhay na konsepto dun sa world of forms. Yung world of forms sa labas, sa loob, pare-parehas yan, nandyan yan lahat. Pag sinasabi mo yan, kahit nga text mo lang. Diba? Kahit mag-text ka ng seryosong kahit ano, kahit sino, text mo lang sila. Mararamdaman nila yung tinetext mo eh. Hindi na to tulad, lalo na ngayon wala nang ABS-CBN, 'di ba? Parang nawala na yung budhi ng ng sobrang kadramahan, household kadramahan sa sa consciousness ng mga taong nakikinig. Ang nangyari is, kunyari, mag-text ka ng bastos sa ibang tao, eh kung nabad trip sa'yo yung binabastos mo, mababastos ka din, 'di ba? Ngayon, kung maganda naman yung sinasabi mo, masarap naman, 'di ba? Chill naman, chill. Or friendly naman, it's a really great feeling, and at least for me it's a great feeling because now I put my clan into a very awkward state na parang do I know what he's talking about? Am I actually also there? And what that is high status anxiety culture, which is still part of culture, the high status anxiety culture. Na, 'di ba, habulan nga eh. There's even kumbaga, kung may rat race, meron ding high status anxiety race na habulan. Kasi kahit naman yung mga sinasabi niyong marurunong, may kaya, middle class, mag-iisip, nakikinig, may race yan mga yan. Harapin lang yan ng mga konting Americans, mga may itsura. Lahat tayo may sariling kind of weakness that if we are taken from our what do you call that? A comfort zone. If we are even at the slightest taken out of our comfort zone. Tagalog yun. Based Tagalog yun. Basta pag tinanggal ka dyan sa comfort zone mo, kunyari, nice example would be something that a friend of mine posted. Pag nananakot, di ba, mabait na si Duterte. Ayan, nagmumura na naman si Duterte. Pag nananakot na naman si Duterte, at ginagawa na naman niya yung what he's most known for, parang ikaw, ay, nako, lagot na naman, di ba? Meron na namang lagot. And, di ba, yung kabig na yon, in a sense, that effect, ako na lang, personally, pag nananakot na naman sa mga mamamatay tao, nananakot na naman, nakatakot naman talaga. Ang mangyayari is, parang ikaw, the way language works is, parang ikaw, mapapaisip ka na naman, parang, ay, nako nga pala, o nga pala, diba? Oo nga pala, no? Meron nga pala, hindi pa nga pala ako kompleto. Meron pa nga pala akong mga pagkukulang. At meron pa akong mga kailangan mas abutin na understanding, hindi status. Because not everyone wants to be a killer. Not everyone needs to be that kind of hand to his brother or sister. Hopefully not. But that kind of hand to his brother, not everyone wants to be like that. Not everyone is chosen to have that kind of hand, diba? That heavy hand, so to speak. Kasi ano yun eh, mahirap na eh, diba? But on that moment, yung in-explain ko na pag nangyayari yun in culture, that again, high status anxiety culture, which is just something that I came up with now. High status anxiety culture. All relative, because someone from the other side of the clan who's in another part of the world could say could say in his visual publishing, for example, no, oh, I have these much food, I have this kind of car. This presents you a high status sort of anxiety na parang insecurity basically, pinong-pinong microaggressive insecure moment in your mind where you're like, oh, wala ako niyan. Could be inggit, could be jealousy, could be just leveling, could be just distance, signaling. Kasi minsan wala namang virtues eh. Diba? We already know of virtue signaling. But minsan, a virtue, ano ba yung virtue, diba? Paki ko dun, diba? Kitang-kita ko yung length eh. Yung measure ng, kumbaga, malaki yung bandwidth niya, sa'yo maliit lang. Maganda yun isipin. I think maganda yun isipin lang. Maganda yun pag-isipan lang yung distance measuring mo because in fact, every other moment you are measuring. I am measuring how relative to the cameras that I'm using, if my voice is actually speaking the right tone in expressing something something great for today, para naman yung mga nakikinig sa kabilang side, they'll be like, ano, this is something I could trust. I could trust this information. This could be a credible source of inspiration, of motivation. May mga shan na yan. Ganun, di ba? And, I kind of like speaking of status anxiety kasi favorite topic ko to nung college eh. Status anxiety, di ba? Parang halos ito na yung bumuo ng identity ng mga Pipino eh. Kasi porket di daw nila naiintindihan yung sinasabi ng ibang tao, tatahimik na lang sila. Or kakain na lang sila ng Jollibee. Or fast food na lang yung atupagin nila sa buhay nila, or since or the other way around, if you don't have a sense of status, if you don't have a sense of being part of digital, or being a digital native, for example. A digital native is someone na matatas, could type onto the internet. Ang usually hobbies niyan is pag mayroong masyadong matinding analog confrontation or analog what do you call this, analog interaction, is even ako, I go onto the internet and type something up just because I want to record it in that realm, so to speak. So much so that I have succumbed to a habit of podcasting, diba? Para hindi na ako nagtatype. Para hindi na ako, and mas lalo ko pang na-extract yung halos buong upload for this show na, this is a solo podcast. I try to speak in it as if I would, of course, if I'm listening, I would shut up. If I'm listening to you, I would definitely mum my lips. But since I am assuming that is on the other side, someone might just react. Parang magka change of heart. Magka change of heart na sila to react to the new things that I am presenting as observational data. Then the right way to react to that is actually with an open sort of communicative, bubuksan mo yung channel na yun in a way that you shouldn't respect this thing as artwork. Because although I am an artist, a podcast episode might not be fully realized as a piece. It's like a stroke. You get what I'm saying? parang this is the stroke for today, for this week. In the same way that Da Vinci would work on Mona Lisa, layers upon layers upon layers. Podcasting might just be like that, na not every piece is tapos. So you, as an audience, is actually, they're a part of the process, as a listener, as someone who just swiped up, maybe before, sinaswipe up mo lang yung mukha ko when you see it on a podcast. But now you're actually like, oh nga no, ano pala, meron palang katuturan tong trip ni Rez Toledo. And I'm not psyching myself up for that, but that might be totally true also for me because, I mean, I do what you do. And that mirroring effect to shatter that, so to speak, to shatter that sort of misgivings, sort of insecurity, the mode, yung status anxiety nga na yun. To shatter that, you just have to open that channel. Everyone has to open that channel. Not everyone, especially, or people I converse with, try to converse with. My guys, my clan, my dudes, we just have to really shatter that. If it is shattered, then we build upon the shattered glass. Or we build upon yung pinagkalinisan nun, diba? Ang sasabi ko, basically is, not basically, pero pag nabuksan mo na yung channel na yun, that's actually how the meta of podcasting works for you and I. Once that thing is shattered, then we base ourselves now on a non-political, non-agenda, non-biased, non-sort of testing kind of relationship, because the more that you actually test yourself without the guidance of something, the someone's awareness, then lalong hindi masha-shatter yung kasi the kumbaga the pathway is there, is already set by Facebook, is already set by social media, is already set by yung kaka-build ko na ganun ko, di ba may mga nagawa na stop with my hands. But kulit kasi wala akong piano ngayon eh. So like I'm like how do I use my hands, right? My limbs. But kalma lang. I think the highways are there. The neuro paths is there. Yung brain channel is there, especially if you've been touching my content, I've been touching your content kind of thing. Or matagal na pala tayo magkaibigan and then parang na-miss mo lang na, sige na nga, papakinggan ko na nga ito. Ano bang pinagagawa nitong kaibigan ko? Diba? Ano na bang ngayon yung trip ng kaibigan ko? Baka madala na naman ako sa bagong panahon. And when we start doing that to each other, it's not it's just a way of opening up. And that's how you know how you're opening up. Because a calloused version of yourself is just like so even though it is quiet, even though it is I would say even though it is safe, you're not being appreciative of what life could do for you. Because you treat people, your friends, your family as spam. You treat them like spam, right? You treat things like spam. Na parang, whereas a degree sort of way of seeing that is the universe is speaking to you. The way of the world is always about and trying to tell you something na baka totoo nga na meron kang mali sa kahit gaano ka kagaganda, kahit gaano ka kaganda yung pangalan mo, kahit gaano ka star-studded pa yung yung profile mo sa internet. meron something, may flaw dyan. Na, hindi ako yung nagsasabi na to this is a stoic philosophy. Merong flaw, meron kang may improve dyan. At merong totoo dun sa mga, lalong-lalo na yung mga sinasabi mong no one. Yung mga nobody. Or ikaw, kung nobody ka, this kind of talk might empower you into thinking that, yeah, merong katotohanan when you pinpoint a flaw from someone. When you criticize a piece of work, diba? Which is why it's so hard. Sorry. Ito yung gusto kong express, I think, in this podcast, na it is so easy to get lost in a weak digital culture. A weak digital culture is something that develops on latak alone. Ano ba yung latak? Diba? On latak alone and not practice. How do I express that? But yung latak, diba? Yung parang, hindi naman yun yung works eh. Hindi naman yun yung the works eh. Pero yun yung parang nag-ooze from like, and that's just what you see from that kind of industry, yung unti-unti lang, yung atado na, yung utay-utay, diba? Yun yung yun yung binebenta sa'yo, tapos nagre-react ka emotionally. Sabihin, literal, pinopoison ka. Parang may frog. Tapos yung poison frog, di ba, nagsisecrete yan ng kung ano-anong lason. Tapos yun, pinapadila sa'yo yun. Pinapadila sa'yo yun. Ikaw naman, tuwan-tuwa ka pa, nagre-react ka pa, tapos yun yung hinahawakan mo. Diba? Dilang-dila ka sa mga ganong kinds of things. Whereas yung mga full meal, yung mga talagang pagbagsak sarap mo, lechon na. Papapakin mo na lang, share mo pa sa iba, diba? Or ang tumataba lang naman sa'yo yung puso mo or yung utak mo. Ayaw mo yun. Ayaw mo pa yun. Dati. Ngayon gusto mo na. Diba? Parang ngayon, okay na lang sa'yo, diba? Kasi nga, nararamdaman mo na pipi ka pala. Galing ka pala sa pipi. Pinalaki pala ikaw ng bulag. Diba? Di ka pala marunong maglakad talaga. Kala mo lang naglalakad ka.